Ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Today we've got something different. We've got a Troy-Bilt mower that was in a car accident. Well, technically it was run over by a car, and you can see the wheels all bent up and a little bit wonky, but that's pretty easy to fix. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and try to get her running. After it got hit, it sat for quite a while because nobody wanted to bother with a mower with a bashed-in wheel. So let's get started. In order to get this bracket straightened up, the first thing we need to do is get the wheel out of the way. Now this one uses a 9/16, but most of them use a 1/2 inch. Like 90% of them use a 1/2 inch. The rest are usually 9/16. So let's get the old wheel out of the way. Hopefully she's not stuck on too tight. A lot of times years worth of dirt will make this hard to get off. How close are we? We're pretty close. And just Ouija and Ouija until it finally comes off. Okay, the races look pretty good. That's just dirt, but we'll clean her up before we put her back together. So next up is to get this bracket straight. And this is easier than you might think. So we're going to grab ourselves a steel pipe. In this case, the jack handle for the hydraulic press is just perfect. And as you can see, she comes around pretty quick. And that looks just about right. Let's put the wheel back on and see what it looks like. Looks like she wants to go back that way a little, actually. You see just a little Ouijaing around, which is good to go. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Now if we look at it from the front, you can see it looks very ordinary. So let's get that tightened up. Very good. Now let's get to work on the carburetor. Now it's super common to need to rebuild the carburetor, or at least give it a good cleaning when you find a problem like that. And the reason is this one got hit by a car in the garage and the wheel got bent, so they stopped using it. And it just sat there for months where they were going to do it next week. But now that we've got the wheel straightened out, we go after the carburetor and clean the jets out, and it should run like a champ. It should be an easy go. Okay, I tried to give you a good angle where you can see what's happening. Let's get the carburetor off. All the fun stuff happens behind the air cleaner on this one. Let's turn the gas off. And now this one's got bolts rather than studs. Make a note when you're putting it back together, this goes a certain way. With the round port towards the carburetor and line it up on this so you can see how it lines up just right. Okay, let's pull the linkage off. Pull the spring first. Now let's do the gas line second. We've got the gas turned off. We're going to get a couple of drips, but not much. Okay, let's take her over to the bench. And we've got her cleaned up enough to be useful. So let's clean the jets. I see a lot of people clean carburetors, or they say they clean the carburetor. And what they do to clean the carburetor is spray carb cleaner into the bowl here. There's not much you can clean that way. All your important stuff's in here. So let's get that out of the way. Now we're going to pull the jet out, and the jet is down this little hole here. Here you go. Let me shine a little light on her. Whoops. There you go. So if you look down that center hole, that little brass thing in the center of this hole here, that's the jet. That's the part you want to clean. You also want to clean this because that's where your fuel flows in. Okay. First thing I'll do is unscrew it with our handy dandy skinny flathead. Let's see if we can get it out. I'm going to go tap it until this falls out. I've got it unscrewed all the way. Okay, I tapped the edge of the carburetor body on the vise to get this to fall out. And now down the center here is where all the magic happens. So we're going to straighten out a little piece of wire. And get these distractions out of the way. And then we go back and forth and we'll spin it on the little wire so that we make sure we clean everything off the edges. And now we know that's good. So there's an emulsifier tube in here that you also want to clean. There you go. Let's look at that. See if we can see that. Oh, sorry about the light. And that's that little hole all the way down the center. And if you push it through there, you'll see the wire will come out over here. So we'll straighten it out just to make it easy. Look at that, right down the center of the hole. And now I can see the wire. I know you can't see it very easily. I can see the wire sticking out of that little centerpiece, little brass thing in the center. And that feels really good. And now you can see you clean the carburetor. Let's put the jet back in. Sometimes when you're taking these out, they'll really fight you. So you have to put a lot of pressure on the screwdriver when you get that original torque to let go. But you want to make sure you don't tear it up in here or you're buying a carburetor. Okay, we'll put the needle seat back together. Let's toss her back on and see what we've got. Whoop. I heard a little noise off in the corner and it made me look. You will lower her in. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. There we go. That was a little uncoordinated, especially since I've done 100 of them, but you get the point. I try not to edit out the little foolishness I do when we do these. You know, when something doesn't quite line up right. Because when you're doing it at home, yours isn't going to line up quite right all the time either. Okay, and that's about it. Let's put her back on the motor, put a new fuel line on it, and we're ready to go. All right, let's get our carburetor on. First thing we're going to do is attach the choke spring. And if you took pictures, this is all pretty easy. If you didn't take pictures, good luck with this one. This is the opposite of the way we took it apart. We're going to put our fuel line on, put a new fuel line on it, just because that's a good thing. We're going to move our choke over here. And we've got the choke all the way to the left, which is all the way off. And now the entertaining part. Now the fun of all these horrifying gaskets. Now the fun part, getting all this together. First thing we'll do is put our first gasket on and get the bolts run through the air cleaner. Of course, with a stud, you can line it all up and it's a little more coordinated, but it's really difficult to get the throttle lever off. Now I'll put the carburetor on and push the bolts through it. And now the only thing we've got left is the back gasket and the carb adapter. And the carb adapter here. Remember, the round part goes towards the carburetor, the square part goes towards the engine. And it's very much a one-trick pony. So we compared it, we've got it all lined up. And now we've got everything stacked. We've got our choke to the left, our lever to the right. And now we're going to go far to the left because you want this lever to go on the right-hand side of the little choke lever here. You want it to be on that side of it. And we'll get the bolts started and we're in. Lucky enough, the last gasket stuck to the engine. Now we got one. Let's scooch it just a touch. No, we don't have one. Where are you at, buddy? There we go. Now let's double check our gaskets and do the other one. And there it is. Check, make sure our choke works, and it does. Give it a snug. Give it a snug. Give it a snug. Double check our choke. And I can see the butterfly closing and opening. Okay, that looks good. Oh, the linkage looks good. So let's give her a run. Now, it does not have a blade on it or a blade adapter, so it's going to sound unusual if it starts. Okay, it sounds pretty good. We don't have a blade on that one, and it causes it to be really quiet because blades make a lot of noise, and it has a little bit of a miss to it, but having a blade in place would take care of that. The momentum of the blade carries the next stroke much more smoothly than without a blade. So all you new people out there, if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe. It's free, and it's what we work for. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.